Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's Monday. It's new model day, and I am tickled pink, you might say. I have a kit on my table that I have been looking forward to getting to for the longest time. Now, before you rush out and start filling up my comments with where do I get it, where do I get it, where do I get it, I don't know if you can, and I hate to do that to you. There is a company called Horner Shipyards. They make a smaller version of this kit, but I was able to browbeat them into printing me a larger version of it. So without much more further ado, let's get to the table and meet the parts. By now you probably have seen, you've clicked on it because you saw the thumbnail, so no surprise to you, but let's get down and look at the parts. Yes, this is the Enterprise G, or Titan if you will, but I'll be making Enterprise G. This is the 1000 scale. Now, Horner does make a 1400 scale that is slightly smaller than this. But like I said, this is the 1000 scale. The part breakdown is almost identical. The saucer itself comes in at about 9.5 inches across. The entire kit, when you lay it out, if I were to do that, let me see. If I were to lay out this entire kit and put the neck in and put the body in and put the nacelle in, it would probably come out at, let's see, about 20 inches, because it starts at about well, maybe 19 inches. It starts at about 3 inches and it ends at about 23 inches. Well, I mean, it's closer to 20 inches. So that's 24 down to 4. Yeah, that's 21 inches long, roughly. So that's how big a kit it is. It is 3D printed. It is also very heavy. This the saucer is very heavy. Now, it's very well engineered. It is. We've got some opaque parts here. We've got translucent parts here. We have the opaque parts here that don't have to worry about being lit. And then we've got these clear-ish parts. We've got 2 trees of the clear-ish parts for the engine inserts and for some other details that we'll be putting lighting behind. Now, I will not be able to do all of the lighting on this that I would dearly love to do because of the way it's designed. As well as, nicely as this is designed to go together, and as beautifully engineered as it is, for someone of my meager skills, I cannot get into lighting all of the areas that I might want to light were I a more capable person. So what we're going to end up trying to do is that we will light the bridge. We will light the impulse engines. We will light the nacelles. We will light the blue and the red at the front and the blue on the sides. We will light all of those things. We will have minimal, if any, window lighting because I have to check to see how well we are going to be able to put any lighting strips behind this, the way it's printed. Like, this is all one piece. I can't get in here to put strip lighting in between. Now, it's the way it's designed is for structural strength, and that's more important than lighting, frankly. This is going to be more a painting exercise than a lighting exercise. But we've got the lower sensor dome. We've got these 2 details here that we can light. We can light the deflector dish. There are going to be opportunities. We're just not going to be able to put in like the blinky red and greens, or the thrusters, or any of these smaller, maybe some of the larger windows we can light. I don't know. We're going to find that out together. I really am shooting in the dark for some of this. So now here are the clear parts that go in the nacelle bits. I do love how this is designed, but then again, I am going to be spending an inordinate amount of time cleaning parts up because I want to do a really good job on this. I don't know how long it's going to be before there is a commercial version of this kit or of this ship. Certainly not at this size. So I want to spend time on it. I want to do the best job I can on it, and I want to take my time and like I said, do what I can with what I've got, and without trying to, push the envelope too far just for the sake of a winky blinky light. If it's going to compromise something else, I would rather have a good overall ship than a less than good, but it has a winking light on it. That's where I'm at. If I could put a strobe here or there, I certainly will try. But it's going to be strictly a question of where I'm going to have access to, what areas I'm going to have access to. Lighting the nacelles, that's job 1. Lighting up the bridge might be job 2, and the bridge and the deflector, the traditional areas that you would light on a starship, that's job 2. And then if we can get any windows or additionals, then that's gravy. But that's the goal. The first part of this is not going to be very sexy at all because it's going to involve cleaning up lots of little 3D printed nubs that come off of the supports, and getting these pieces cut off of the supports using my nice sonic saber there, which has become a permanent part of my workspace, and getting these cut off and cleaned up. And then I have to do a lighting inventory to see what kind of lights I have here, and I may have to rush an order off to Evans. So that's what's on my plate today. I hope you can stick around. This is going to be at least a 2-weeker, maybe even a 3, maybe even more. Alrighty, as you can see by this pile of parts, it's getting quite messy around here, and I've just spent a good chunk of today, as I'm sure I will be spending a good chunk of this week, cleaning the parts, sanding them, getting them ready to go, doing a little bit of filing and grinding because these are 3D printed parts and they don't always fit perfectly. So we're looking at your typical pylon here. You gotta love how this is engineered. These can only go in but so far. There's a nice little stay right there that keeps it from going in too far, but also keeps it going in straight and square and level and true and all those lovely things. So I'm cleaning up the parts and seeing how they go, and this will be the neck, and then of course you got your other pylon here. I've also spent a little bit of today on the internet ordering up lighting to go in here. I'm trying out a new type of strip LED that we're going to see how well that works for the nacelles with the LEDs that are smaller and closer together, so we're going to see. But that's pretty much how the middle of it looks. And so far I've only run into one part that was badly printed, and I'm not going to say I put no fault on the designer or no fault on the company, but because it was way inside, it was like buried inside here, very tough to see, to find. But maybe it could have had one more pass through the quality control before it left the station. But it's nothing we can't work with, I'm sure. If it's that bad, we'll find out later. But looking at something like this, let me see if I can put enough of these pieces together. Now these are matched right and left, and port and starboard. So that's your typical nacelle with the front that goes on here. Very nice that this is made for a 5mm socket here, but if you don't want to use a 5mm, there are little collars that go inside each of those where you could put a 3mm inside that and still use that. So I don't know which way I'm going to go on that yet. But these parts here are fitting tremendously well. It's not all a bunch of sanding. I mean, these are going to be lovely. So yeah, I'm just investigating, and probably the biggest part that I found that's going to need the most alteration is this U shape that goes back in here. Now it's a little bit wider, a little bit thicker than the slot that it's meant to go in, so we're going to have to either sand this down, sand the thickness of that down, or open that up a little bit wider. I just don't know where in the assembly schedule that's going to go, whether I need to put the whole nacelle together and then put that part in at the end. And if that's the case, I'm going to have my lighting ready to go in between all of that. So but there's your typical nacelle. I'd say that's about a foot long. Let me see, let me put it up on my little grid that I happen to have right in front of me. And that nacelle is exactly a foot long. So we got two of these, of course. And I like the way that, they got away from the typical problem that you have when you're building a saucer. The typical problem is you end up with a edge right here that you have to sand or putty or do something with. Here, the actual edge is built into the bottom, so all that you need to do is line this up along a grid line on the top here, and it forms a natural panel line. I love that, although it does make it a little bit more difficult to get in to do the windows. I don't think I'm going to be able to drill those out. I think that way lies madness if I try to drill those out, and for the obvious reason that it is not the window itself, it is the space between the windows. That's the hardest part to maintain. I can drill a window out all day long, but it's the spot between the windows that you have to be conscious of. You don't want to knock that out. Now, there do not seem to be any parts that I have seen, any clear parts to do this work here. If there are and I've missed them, then I apologize, but I have not seen any parts to accomplish that yet. So I don't know exactly how we're meant to get that long strip of because when you put it together, you can see the indent is carved in here, but it doesn't seem to be any clear piece to go over top of that. So we might just have to put some canopy glue or something over top of that or microcrystal clear or something to make that window, or to make that engine. This is the actual piece here that's got a defect in it, this impulse insert. That's the one. But this promises to be a lot of fun. I still think it's going to be too front heavy for the small post that they want you to put to hold this thing up, but we will find that out. Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday. I had the most excellent Monday probably anybody that I've known has had, and I'll tell you about it in a second. We've got all of our parts cleaned up, mostly. We've got a few more that I need to trim out, and some that I'm keeping on the runners because they are so small that I don't want to lose them. I also sent in an order for lighting. Looked at what I had, looked at what I needed, and decided to place an order on Amazon for not only some more LEDs, but some of that Cobb LED light strip. I don't know whether Cobb is a brand name or a type. I don't know yet, but it is the LED light strip that has the very densely packed LEDs, and I want to use those in the nacelles because the small area that I have, if I put a regular strip in here, you're going to see the very obvious sourcing. And the thing about those new strips is that they're so densely packed that you don't see a particular source of light. So we've got that coming. We've got some orange lights coming for here. I still don't think I will be able to run any strobes or navs I would love to be able to, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to because of the density of the areas where those would go. Now, as an example, you would put a strobe right here at the end of the fantail, and I'm debating whether or not I would have room to do that. I'm thinking I might want to try to run a fiber optic to it and then run that to a bulb. We'll have to see how well that goes. Because of this being translucent plastic, it might just spread the light out and not be what I want it to be, not being able to control the light. But that gets me back to what I was really what I really wanted to talk about, which was, now yesterday I was looking at all the parts and I was looking at the decal sheet that comes with this. Well, the decal sheet that comes with this, I likened it to an old copy of the Sunday Funnies, because the registration on it was so not good. The colors were close to each other, but not on top of each other like they're supposed to be. So the end result was that the decals were no bueno. They're not in that great a shape. So, having been flush with some success of printing my own decals out as of late, I put a feeler out to the King of Kings, the creator of all things, Bill Krause, who I worked on with some of these Aztek decal, or the templates, for his larger build of this, and I will be using those same designs on the smaller build. So I just put a feeler out to Bill. I say, would you happen to have any artwork for the decals, particularly the 1701G, that maybe I could try to print out my own? And gentleman that he is, he sent me a file that has the decals that I need. And then he said, oh, by the way, here are some nice reference pictures for you. And he proceeded to give me access to a set of references that, frankly, I did very unmanly things when I saw how good those references were. It it was very much like seeing a new book of the gospel. I don't know how religious any of you might be out there, but imagine if you had one day the creator of all things said, oh, and for you, I'm going to tell you a whole new book of things. Well, it gave me such detail and gave me such access to how things look and how they're supposed to be that I almost completely have to rethink what I was doing, because I was going to be doing a stripped down version of a lot of stuff. Well, I have such access or such reference now that I would be a fool not to capitalize on that. Now, this is where I'm going to turn into one of those right bastards, because I don't think I can show you the references that I have. I hate to be that guy. I hate when that happens to me. But I don't know, and I'm not going to ask, what I can publicly show. These are references from Bill's build, the one he had at Wonderfest. I have references now that show his paint scheme, which is what I'm planning on using. But also in there were references of the CGI model, and that is what I don't think I have. I don't have the right to show, so I'm not gonna. You're just going to have to accept that what I'm going to do here is going to be reflecting the intel that I've learned from that. And that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I think I can say about that. But what Bill had sent on his build was wonderful, because of all the pictures I took of Wonderfest of his build, simply I couldn't get underneath it and take pictures of the underside. I could take pictures of the underside of the saucer, but because it was far back on the table and you were restricted as to how close you could get with your cameras, obviously I couldn't take pictures of every detail that I wanted. Well, thank you, Bill, because he sent pictures of it laying on her laying on her back so that her belly is showing, and I've got all of those wonderful references, and of course there's a lot more different colors of gray in here than even I had thought of or thought there was going to be. And it really it knocked me back on my heels, and I am going to be dining on that research for quite a while. I am going to be digesting that over the course of, I don't know, the next week or so, and I am going to make sure that I follow this reference when I get to the point where I'm getting ready to paint mine. So what I thought was going to be a fairly quick build will not be now, because I've got the wherewithal to make a much better product than I thought I was going to have when I started. So what I would like to do is to start identifying what parts I can paint, what parts I cannot paint. Now, like the sides of the nacelles, I can go ahead and light block the insides of these and spray a gray on here. Now there are 3 different shades of gray on here. This is a darker gray, this is a lighter and a lighter, and then this is more of what you would consider the white body color. So there are plenty of things that need to be masked off. The masking set I was planning on making for this is going to end up being a lot more elaborate. Now, like I said, this kit here is not widely available. However, the 1400 scale is. And I am looking at whatever I create for this, I can then reduce down to the 1400 scale, and that's what the goal is at this point. Well, we're at the end of the second day, and I'm taking things so slowly that I've only got one piece glued down. As I glued the fantail down to the hull. Wow, look at me go. Yeah, I know, it's slow. It's slow going, but I want to do it right. So we are, just look how tight that fits. I'm still marveling at these points. Now, I have decided, even though at this point I don't think I'm going to be able to light the windows, I have decided to mask them anyway, just in case it turns out that I can. I don't want to have had that possibility pass me by. So what I'm going to do is come up with some small circles and ovals here. That's not really that much smaller than let's say the 537 scale windows that I've got now. So I can go ahead and do that, and then maybe I can get a coat of primer on here, and that will help me determine where the flaws still exist that need to be sanded down or ground off or sanded off. So I think that'll be the next step. I could mask the windows on this and on the other big parts, and then get a coat of primer on everything. Everybody, it's Wednesday. How's everybody doing today? Work is progressing on the Enterprise G. Now it is going slowly, carefully, meticulously, I might say. Something that I want to, like I said, want to take my sweet time with. So I've heard the hue and cry from the huddled masses saying, "Lou, you don't take enough time on your models. You're rushing. You are, you're doing a lot awfully quick." Well, I'm going to slow down on this one because I want to do this one right. But sitting as I was on the easy chair this morning when the mail came, and look what came in the mail. Another, I'm going to cover up my address, another fine box from the people at Horner Shipyards. Well, if you know anything about Horner Shipyards, you've been paying attention to this video, because these are the people that make this fine kit. Now, the Horner Shipyards, the kit that they make available to the general public is the same model, but it is a smaller version. It is the 1400 version, and that is what I have here. This is the 1400 version. It came in the mail today. It's going to look amazingly similar. It's got the same exact part breakdown as the version that I am working on now. I mean, right down to it. I do notice several things about the pylons seem to be a lot flimsier, so we're going to have to do some reinforcing on those, definitely to make those stronger. But it, all goes together exactly the same way. It's got, like I said, the same exact part breakdown. And the real reason that I was in contact with these fine people was to make templates for this kit in particular, and of course I will be able to take the knowledge that I have gleaned from making the 1000 scale version and shrink it all down to this 1400 version. So I will be making basically 2 of these ships at the same time, but having the smaller one, which I will be making as the Titan, means I don't have to give much of a fuss about lighting this one. This one is going to be strictly a painting exercise. And again, it's all the same parts. It goes together all the same way. So you won't be learning anything different from that. But that is what the parts look like. So here are the clear parts. And this is the lower sensor that goes there. This is the, I gotta catch up. I gotta glue this, I have to glue the end cap down so that both of my kits are at the same level of completion. But here are the nacelles that go, let me guess, that's gonna go there. And this is going to go here. So there you can see the difference in the size of the 2 kits. This is 1400, that's 1000. Now, I have a feeling I would, if I had my druthers, I would sell my left kidney and ask them to make me one the size that they did for Bill's build-up that he had at Wonderfest, but that was probably another 50% larger than this one. It would probably run into the thousands of dollars to have something like that printed. So we're not going to be doing that. But those are the 2 sizes. And like again, I said, I can be kind of building these in tandem. All right, I'm back. I heard what I said. My own voice heard what I said, and I had to take myself out behind the woodshed and smack myself around for a while. I said I wasn't going to like this small one. Oh boy, I can't believe I got away with saying that. I am going to try to like this small one. So immediately the first thing I did was jump on the web to go to Evans Designs and order me up some small, and I mean small, SM LEDs in the various colors, so that I will be able to do that. Now it's not going to be nearly as elaborate as what I'm going to do on the bigger ship, but I can certainly light the nacelles and the planetary sensor and the bridge dome, and probably won't be able to do the windows, much like I probably won't be able to do the windows on that. But I can do things like the deflector dish and obvious things like that. I can't even, like I said, I couldn't even believe I got the words out of my own mouth. So forgive me for that lapse. I need to rush out now that the bruising has stopped. I can rush out and get some. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked here trying to sand down some printing nubs. I got to go get some primer. So I'll be back in I don't know, at 10-15 minutes. Alrighty, I've been spending some of the day today cutting vinyl to do window masks. As I said, I don't know how successful it's going to be for me to try to light these, but I want to go ahead and get them masked off just in case. I have a feeling that we're going to be more successful on the smaller kit by simply painting and then scraping it with a very sharp, either with a very sharp X-Acto or a dental tool, something like that, that will allow you to go in and just, do a little on the window to clean them up. I think that's going to be a much better solution on these little guys. But we'll see how it works on the big one. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Thursday, the gateway of the weekend. Yay! And I am still working on the big Enterprise G. I am fine-tuning the window masks, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm in a holding pattern, waiting for lighting to come. The thing about the smaller, the 1000 or the 1400 scale, is it's actually going to be easier for me to go ahead and start working on, because I won't be worrying about window masks here, so I can start doing more things like doing actual construction. Now, and the problem I'm running into is common with printed kits, 3D printed kits, and that has to do with the connecting pins and sockets for those pins, because they're not always the cleanest. A lot of times when people print something, completely understandable to do this, you put the outside to the wind. You put the outside out so that your supports are not on the outside of the hull or whatever it is, so that that's nice and clean and pretty and bright and good and happy. But that leaves the inside, where you're going to end up putting your supports on, either an edge or the inside of the part, and sometimes that can muddle up the ugly side of printing. Can get muddled up where your connecting pins are, so you have to end up spending more time cleaning around those, in some cases completely sanding them off, like in this small neck. I've gotten to the point where I had to remove the back pins here completely to get a nice solid flat shape that I can clamp and put glue in, and just hold it together like that. The pins actually work against you in that point, in that aspect. It's something that I've noticed more and more when working with 3D printed model kits, is the designers. I'll say it's a learning curve for the designers, because it's not a flaw, it's not a fault, it's just something that needs worked on, and that is, they have a tendency, as I understand it, when you design a part and you put a pin in it and a pocket in it, that it's like 100% exactly the same shape, and you would think in a perfect world that would line up, and it does if you're working maybe in styrene. But when you go to print that, cure rates or whatever, the pins, the pocket for the pin may not be the same size as the pin itself. And I don't know whether there's like a fudge factor that needs to get built in. Say you make the pin, I don't know, 97% of the size of the pocket that the pin goes in, so that would allow for some sort of slop when you are actually putting the parts together, to allow for curing, expansion, or shrinkage. Or, just as a user, you should be expecting that you're going to have to adjust those. In traditional resin pour kits, I noticed that you don't seem to have that same problem, and I think it's because the actual printer, or the resin, when you are pouring resin, it doesn't, the end result doesn't fluctuate as much as 3D printed resin does. And I think maybe that's something that will shake itself out as more and more people get in this business, and more rules of the road are established, I guess would be the term. More best practices are established. But trying to get something like these two pieces to go together very squarely, when this is where the you can tell by the nubs, this is where all the supports were attached. In order to make this nice and happy and beautiful on the outside, the ugliness is kind of shifted to the inside. Well, the ugliness is also where the pins live, so cleaning out around them is an extra step, and eventually you can get that down to something that makes a better match, so that you can fit that into the part that it needs to be fit into. Let me see if I got it here. Actually, no, that needs to go in this side. So you end up with a result that fits in. And it's completely, I mean, that's the best practice to do it. I mean, you need to hide those pins somewhere, and where better than to hide them in a place where it's not going to be seen in the final analysis. But it does mean a little bit more cleanup on the inside of your parts than you might suspect that you have to do. And it's just something anybody who's done a lot of garage kit building will, and with resin kits, they'll be expecting that. They know exactly what that is. It's just, I think that people might have a unrealistic expectation that because something is 3D printed, that it's going to come out perfectly and exactly as designed and not need any refining, when that's sadly just not the case. So just because it came off a 3D printer does not mean you won't need your files and your sandpaper and all of the other tools that you had when you were making kits that were cast out of resin. Okay, the work is going slow, but it's slow going. Working this joint by joint, really. Taking this first pylon here. I've got these sanded down or filed down. A good set of flat metal files is going to be your best friend on this job. And I've got this joint worked out. I'm going to continue cleaning cleaning this joint all the way down. I'm kind of happy with how that looks, but you can see the gap that's opened up there, and I think these pins are the culprit. And then how well it's going to fit into the secondary hull down here is the next. That's pretty good. And what's going to need to be cleaned up, like that joint right, that little bit right there, is going to need to be cleaned up. So it's meticulous work, but it's satisfying. I like doing it. I'm glad it's going well. This material is fairly easy to file. It's not soft like a cast resin, where if you go nuts you can file away too much. I just knocked off the last of the pins on this side. As long as there's enough room in this channel to run a couple wires up, we will be good. And there is, one nice thing I'll say about this kit is, oh, look at that, much better, is how well it is designed for lighting. Oh yeah, that's just taking those two pins off made all the difference in the world. Just sanding block out here. Nice sanding block with a little bit of a rubber handle, grippy handle that is some sanding sponges I think would be great on this too, something that would conform to the shape. But yeah, as long as these are this channel here is deep enough to run some of this what this is, 28 gauge wiring, that'll run up there perfectly. That's no problem whatsoever. And I just need a positive and a negative. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. What that's going to allow me to do is run the wiring up for the nacelle lights, which will be the blue lights that go in the grills here, and we're going to try to do something back there to get this U shape to light up, and then there will be a couple of orange SM LEDs pointed forward here that will get the little plastic or the clear Bassard collector over the front of it. And that's how it looks. I love the way this is engineered to the point where that you can see already that the nacelle is square and true and straight. I love it. You know, after about 60 years of starship design, They might have a lock on how to make sure the nacelles stay square. Morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is Friday, and I promised to get some of these pieces put together today. I spent a lot of time yesterday sanding and filing and sanding and getting the pylons to a place where they're ready to go together and still be able to slip the wiring into them. That's the key. I'm going to have to be able to push this wire through from the nacelle down into the rest of the body, because I'm going to be building the nacelle up with the lights in it and then attaching it to said nacelle, or pylon, so I need to be able to do that. That's the important part. And then the interesting thing I've noticed when working with these two different scales of kits at the same time is I will be doing something like this where I'm filing and sanding and being very small and meticulous with something, and then I'll reach over and pick up the one that goes with it, and it's like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, it's like changing bats when you're playing baseball, picking up the heavier bat, but all of a sudden this is huge, this is a whole lot bigger. And I have to tell you that in some instances the smaller parts kind of work better. The particular thing I noticed this morning was this insert here, the clear insert that goes back to light up the back part of the nacelle. It fits a whole lot better here than the counterparts on the larger nacelles, where this is a whole lot. You'd think, oh, it's bigger, everything's going to fit easier. No, this is a whole lot more sanding out that needs to be done. Well, yesterday I was working on getting the big masks done for the warp nacelles, because even though I don't have the lighting, waiting for the lighting to arrive, which should start coming in tomorrow and then probably into Monday of next week, I can get everything ready to get to that point, and that's where I'm at today. I've got the bodies, both bodies, to the same point here where I've got the necks glued in. Now I don't have the, sorry, that's what happens. I didn't have the neck glued in. I thought I had the neck glued in here. So actually the small one is going quicker. But I'm going to get the necks glued in and get the pylons glued in today and get a coat of primer on all that. And as I said yesterday, the smaller saucer is actually going to be easier to work with, because I'm not worried about trying to mask any windows. I am simply going to be painting those, and then I'll go back in with the blade and scrape the windows if I can get any light into them. I don't know if I can. I still want to light the bridge module and the other parts, but it won't be nearly as lit up as the bigger kit will be. And let me see if I can find. Oh, and by the way, the instructions that came with the smaller version, this is some of the CG renders that I was talking about. And since they've been published on this instruction sheet, I can go ahead and use the one, or show the ones that are on my that I have that are on my screen, that are not only much bigger, but much higher res than this. So I can, when it comes time to start painting, I will be able to share those. I just didn't know what was or what wasn't kosher to be showing. So painting is going to be a whole different animal. But getting the things built to that point is going to be the important thing. If I can get, now obviously I can't close up the saucer until I've got the lighting for it ready to go, but I'm wondering how much further I can get. Can I do this? Can I do this and the pylons today? If I can get this far, because everything else can be chased down, wiring and that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking I may be able to get this to the point where maybe I can get both models to the point where I've got this much done. So that's our ambitious goal for today. Let's see how close we can come. Alright, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it again. I think I did. I think I've already covered this. But this kit, or this ship, even the very design of it, and Bill will tell you this himself if you ask him, it is very front heavy. That saucer way out front, of the center of gravity makes it a very front heavy ship. And the post that is, or the pocket for the post that is provided, oh, there's some alliteration, post that is provided in a pocket. It's meant to be a smaller pocket. It kind of goes up. I'll show you on this one. Well, yeah, you can see how it kind of stops at the level of the deflector there. Well, that may or may not be enough to handle the tremendous cantilevered weight out front. So what I've decided to do is extend that by drilling out that pocket and going straight all the way up to the neck. And luckily it matches the diameter of this post, the standardized diameter, which means I can go out and get a brass or a steel tube that will meet this diameter. But it will go all the way up to here, to the top of the neck now. Instead of stopping about there, it's going to go all the way up through here, and that's going to increase the amount of shear strength it will take, or the cantilevered strength it will take. The saucer is actually out in the other room. I've sprayed a primer on that. So I'll demonstrate with the overly large saucer. But it'll sit something like that, and we'll come up to the flat portion of the deck there that goes on the back of the saucer. Now, I've also done that same thing, where I've got the neck glued down to the body now, and I've done the same bit of puttying around this joint here that was necessary on the smaller version. And what I want to do now is take a bigger drill bit, drill this out to the point where it comes up and rests here in the middle of the neck, and then I can show you on the larger example what that's gonna do and what that's gonna give me. I think that's gonna give me enough, like I say, enough horizontal strength, lateral strength. I don't know exactly which that would be, but it will give me enough meat of the post going all the way up. It'll give me enough meat that will compensate for all of this weight that's going to come out towards the front. Alright, now we can see that in the larger version. We've got the post going all the way down through there now, which instead of stopping about here, is going to give me all of the lateral strength of that neck, so that when I put this on, it's going to, I think, going to be able to hold this a whole lot better. Now, of course, this won't be a plastic tube in the real world. It will be a metal tube. But it'll keep me, if I keep this bottom height fairly low, I don't want to stick it up like this so that, you know, this is way tall off of the whatever base I decide to come up with. I want it to sit fairly low. And by the time we get the nacelles on here, it will sit something like, let's see, if we do something like that, I could think of maybe wanting to go maybe that tall, or maybe 4 or 5 inches off the base there. Just enough you can see underneath it, but not so much that it's going to make the pole too springy. So getting a nice metal tube with a thick wall on it, the only trick is going to be that we're going to have to cut a hole in this somewhere to run wiring, and or to chase the wiring down out to the base. And we just need to make sure that what we do is not so big of a hole that it compromises the integrity of that post. So, and it's possible we could get a metal post here and then put a plastic, another sleeve over top of it, which would increase the strength of it as well. It only has to have that hole in it right about where the deflector is going to be coming through, so that we can chase wiring from the saucer down, or all of the wiring down and out to the base. So by the time you sit this on it, actually this is the piece that we're concerned with, because that's going to end up sitting over top. If I wanted to go any higher, I could drill into this actually and take it all the way up to the up to here. That might be worth looking at. If I did that, that would give me another inch or so, at least 3/4 of an inch of strength. That might be worth doing. Let's investigate that. Okay, so the even better news is, don't mind this pink. This is just how I mark the hole. It's actually further back than I was thinking. I thought it was going to be up in here, which is kind of flimsy and not so solid. It's actually into the meat of the neck here. So that what's going to happen is the top of the post is actually going to rest in that pocket, and that's going to give me the strength that I need. So when it goes, see that much of it, so say maybe that much of it sticks up, and then that'll help lock in onto the neck that way. So that's even more of a help. Now this is deflecting a bit. If I hold on to this, you can see how much that's bending just under the weight. That's why I don't want to use plastic there. I want to use metal. So now we've got that bit of accomplishment done, and that's the last bit of brutality that needs to happen to the secondary hulls. So let's put the pylons together and get those glued down. Alright, so I'm working with the lights that I've got now in the smaller Enterprise, or the smaller Titan. I'm going to be using orange nanos in the front here. Now these are what I have on hand. It's a lot of the blue lighting that I've had to order, so that's what's coming in. On the larger ship I will be using actual LED bulbs and strip lighting, but in the smaller one I'll probably use more of these SM LEDs. Now the battery is awfully weak, but those are the two orange lights, and they're gonna fit somewhere like that up in each side, and then I can put the plastic cap over the front of it, so they're actually gonna sit something like that. Now what I need to do is kind of tape these down and kind of, oh no, that's gonna be nice. That's gonna work well, I think. So I need to cut channels on the insides of these nacelles because they're meant to go together pretty tight here. This joins up with both sides. It makes a nice solid connection, but I think I need to just cut a little tiny channel here and a little tiny channel there so that I can run my wiring. I don't want to run it across where these blue lights are going to be shining, because I don't know, I don't want to have shadow wires in there. Plus, I don't know what my blue wiring is going to look like yet. So the things that I've got, that I know that I've got, I can kind of plan for, and that's where I'm at. Before I close up these pylons, I need to embed wiring in them. And I need to figure out how much wiring needs to stick out of the top. I mean, granted, better too much than too little, but I've only got this much of a length of it without wasting this chunk of wire. So I just want to make sure that the wiring that I put in there is going to reach everything. So I think we're good at that length. I can go ahead and make up the two pylons here, and while that's setting up, I can be working on the nacelles. Righty, I have progress to report. I have finished epoxying the pylons on the smaller ship together, and then since that worked out so well, I carried those same procedures and enlarged them, and the same method is being used on the large pylons. That's curing now, and after this is cured up for a little bit longer, I can start filing and refining the overflow of the epoxy, because it's kind of messy. But the nice thing is it does strengthen up the flexibility on the pylons. They're a lot less flimsy now. Well, there you go, one just jumped off, because of the fact that it's packed with epoxy in there. It's basically made one piece, it's a lot less flexible, shall we say. And I can go ahead and get those put in and glued, and then give the secondary hull one good coating of primer. Fix this up, but prime that, and then I can even go so far as to getting this piece put down. That would be a tremendous place to stop for the weekend on this. Now, I do want to do that before, I think, because of the way the top and the bottom of the saucer meet, because of the beautiful way they're engineered. I do not have to glue those together first before I put them on the neck. I think I can go ahead and put the bottom, and this will be the case on both ships. I think I can put the bottom on there, do wiring and lighting and all of that, and then add the top to it. I think that's going to be a much better way to go, rather than trying to put the completed saucer onto the neck there. So we're going to let that happen. We're going to go clean up all of this once I clean this up and clean these up and attach them to the larger secondary hull. See, it's always nice to have a comparison there. Then I can clear the decks for the kind of work that needs to get done. I need to run out and do a couple errands. I got an order in. I've got to take care of that. I think I'm going to stop by the hobby shop and see what kind of posts, or copper or brass tubing I can get to match the holes on both of these. And that'll take us probably the rest of the day to do that much. Righty, pardon the plotter. I'm back from the hobby shop where I found some brass rods that are the perfect diameter, so I can use them on the stand. So now that we've got that settled and done, let's move these out of the way so that they don't get accosted. I am just knocking things over like you wouldn't believe. Stop it. Ready to take the clips off of the big set of pylons and see how it turned out. I saw Phil doing this the other day, and I just had to copy him, taking clamps off live on video, live on broadcast here. So we'll just see what results we have. Ooh, that turned out quite nicely. Yeah, a little bit of sanding, but these are ready to go into the pockets here. And then I've got to mask the windows in the neck there, and then this would be ready for priming. But let's clean these up, scrape some of the old epoxy off of them, and get ready, because I had meticulously sanded these things to fit in the pockets before I glued them together, and now I've got to resand them to fit in the pockets. Let me see, this one is here. Well, that still fits. Yeah, that still fits nice. Okay, we'll be able to touch a little bit of that up and get ready to prime it. Okay, I'm speaking up again because of the noise in the background, but we've got both of our ships to the same stage now. We've got the pylons glued on, I've got the neck glued on, I've got the wires run up through the pylons on both sides. Now I need to find a smaller stick on which I can put this ship. There you go. And now I just want to run out and put a primer coat on each of these chunks. Well, I was just about to start shutting down for the week when I checked my mail and saw that my lighting from Amazon had been delivered. Now, I didn't, even though I've got all kinds of alerts and alarms on the door, I did not hear the guy drop off anything, but I did get the lighting. Now, I am just going through this for the first time, so you'll have to pardon me. Oh, this looks like fun. This is going to be, let's see, what am I, it's input, 12 volts. What am I missing? It's plugged in. It's turned on. Oh, it's 12 volts. And I'm using a 9-volt transformer. That's no good. Nuts. I thought it would work from 9 to 12. Not to exceed 5 meters. Yeah. Storage temperatures. Cob LED, power supply, blue. It should. Nuts. I was hoping it would work on 9. I've got some other white LED cob that is working on 9. And this is what I was going to wrap around on the inside to light my windows. I think this will come in handy. That's not going to help me on the blue like I was hoping. Unless I put this on a 12-volt transformer, which I am kind of loath to do. But we'll have to see. Now the rest of these are straight old 3 mils. Let's see how they look. Yeah, these are the 3 mils that I got. And I think these are the orange ones I ordered to possibly use in the Bassard collectors. These are 3 mil. Yeah, those are 3 mil. And let me see if I do this. Yeah. Use that as the 3 mil. Actually, I could use those in the smaller ship and not have to use the SMLEDs. I've got plenty of these, so I think that's what we're going to do. I just have to hide the wiring on those. So that's them, and then these are weird packaging. I gotta tell you, that's the strangest part of it all. Let me get a blade out. Is the packaging on these things. And let's see what these are. Yeah, these are all 5 mils. And that should be, those are cool whites. I believe these are warm whites. Those are yellows and orange, red. This is blue and green. So I just got a collection of different colors. Now I do have more lighting coming from Evans, and those are SMLEDs. And I might have to use more of those than I was expecting, but we will find that out. This is all, let's see how blue these were. I was afraid I was going to end up using, they were going to be the ones that were, you know, basically colored plastic. But no, those are pretty good. And if I did that, and kind of put those behind the yeah, I'm wondering how much I can do to get the, oh, that's what, like these bits that will be using that color. And I can flatten the wire down around those. See, those are made for 5 mils. So, yeah, we've got all kinds of little blue and accents and all that. The only thing is, I need to see how that cob wire, these will all work from 9 to 12 volts, so if I have a 12 volt transformer, I can make do. I would just rather have done it with 9, but 12 volt is not going to blow out these bigger bulbs. Okay, let's get these out of the way, cleaned up. Put those over there. Toss this box out. That's the strangest box I've ever seen. Toss that box out. And this is the densely packed whites. And I'm going to see if I can find a 12 volt transformer. I'll be right back. Okay, if you can see that, that is some bright blue. That is some bright blue, my friends. That's going to work. I know that that's going to work, and we're going to use that on the inside of these nacelles here. My only concern is that they're so close to the actual window that they may not disperse enough. See, something like that would be very nice. Here's the thing. It's this would be perfect for the Falcon, by the way. It's just very densely packed blue LEDs, but I could take an inch of that and put it inside the engine, and that'll light up both sides. Oh yeah, my mind is a whirl of all the things we can do with this. Okay, this is the 1400, kind of rubber banded together, as you can tell. And when you kind of hold everything and look at it, it's not a bad little model as far as the length of it. It's every bit of 15 inches, 16 inches long. Makes a nice little build-up, and I can't wait to start throwing some lighting into it next week. Of course, my heart really goes out to the biggin, and the biggin is I've got the saucer for it outside, or actually, no, it's in the other room drying. The first primer coat is drying on it. I've got all the windows masked on it, but I don't know if doing both of these at the same time is a good idea or a bad idea, but I know it does make for a messy table. So let me clean all this up, and then we'll wrap up for the week. Okay, I've kind of got them spitballed and rubber banded together to give you an idea of what their finished contours will look like. There you go. This one clocks in at about 16 inches long. Starts at 1, ends about 17, and this one is off the table, so I'm going to say it's about 20, 22 inches long for the biggin. But there they are, Titan Enterprise. Titan Prize. And there you go. We're off to an auspicious start, I think, on the two, what I'm going to call Titan Prize, the two Starship build. I'm getting to the fun part now, working with these printed parts. It's a lot like working with a cast resin kit, where you're going in and cleaning up and cleaning up. Luckily, there's not too much surface sanding that needs to be done. The resin on these printers is getting better to where, yeah, you're going to see some banding, but it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as it used to be. Next week, we should be right into the heart of it. I don't know. I can't promise I'll finish next week. I don't think I want to finish next week. There is a multitudinous amount of painting to be done. But I think we can get at least the lighting and getting them all buttoned up next week. I think that's an ambitious but attainable goal. We may not be able to start painting, but we can. Well, I don't know. I'll worry about that next week. So until then, well, you'll find out with me how much further we're going to get on this. Y'all be safe, be smart, be good to each other. We'll see you here next time.